There is a quality of light that painters spend entire careers chasing, not the bright, obvious midday light that flatters everything equally and therefore reveals nothing in particular. The other kind, the light that arrives at an angle, late afternoon usually, the kind that catches the side of a face and makes visible something that direct light obscures, something in the specific architecture of a person, the particular way their features arrange themselves when they are not thinking about how they look, when they have forgotten for a moment to be anything other than what they are. That is how this person sees you, in that quality of light, not in the performed version of you, not in the version you offer when you are aware of being observed and have made the small, mostly unconscious adjustments that people make when they know eyes are on them. They have seen that version too, certainly, but it is not the version that did this to them. What did this to them was the other version, the one you are when you have forgotten to manage the impression, when something made you laugh before you could decide whether it was appropriate to laugh that fully, when your face did something honest in a moment you did not know was being witnessed, when you said exactly what you thought without first running it through the usual filters. That version, the unlit one, the angled light one, that is the one they cannot get out of their mind. Before we go any further, I want to take a genuine moment with this community, not a long one, but a real one. I have been doing this work long enough to know that the readings people seek out are rarely about idle curiosity. When someone finds a reading with a title like this one, about being wanted, about being beautiful to someone, about being the only one they want, there is almost always something underneath the seeking that goes beyond the surface of the question. Sometimes it is hope, the good kind, the kind that has specific evidence behind it and just wants confirmation. Sometimes it is the need to hear something that daily life has not been saying clearly enough, the need to be reminded that what you sense is real. Sometimes it is something more tender than either of those, something about needing to believe that this kind of wanting, the specific and exclusive and completely about you kind, is actually available, is actually something that happens to real people in real lives rather than only in the version of love that exists in stories. Whatever brought you here today, I want you to know that I see it, and I am going to try to give you something worth the seeking. To everyone returning to this space, thank you. To anyone new, welcome into something that takes you seriously. Now, let us look at what is actually here, because it is considerable. The wanting. I want to start there because it is the word the title uses, and it is, in my reading of what is present in this field, exactly the right word, not the polished, socially appropriate word, the accurate one. Wanting has a physical quality to it, a bodily dimension that distinguishes it from interest or appreciation or even deep affection. When a person wants another person in the full, unreserved sense, it is registered in the body before it reaches language. Before they have assembled a single coherent thought about what they feel, something in the cellular architecture of their physical experience has already responded. This person responds to you before thought, before assessment, before the social brain has had the chance to intercept and moderate. When you are present, something in them organizes itself differently, not dramatically. You might not even be able to see it from the outside because they have enough composure to manage the surface of their response, even when the interior of it is considerably less managed. But it is there in the specific attention that tracks you without appearing to track you, in the way their body orients almost gravitationally toward wherever you are in a shared space. In the particular quality of stillness that comes over them sometimes in your vicinity, the specific stillness of someone who has decided, without exactly deciding, that they want to take in as much of this moment as possible while it is available. You produce that in them, reliably, involuntarily, every time. Now I want to talk about the beautiful, and I want to do it carefully because beautiful is a word that has been used so casually and so broadly that it has lost some of its precision, and what I am reading here deserves precision rather than generality. What this person finds beautiful in you is not what the word usually implies in casual usage. It is not about the obvious, external, conventionally measurable dimensions of appearance, though I am not suggesting those are invisible to them. It is about something that exists in a different register entirely, something that cannot be photographed or described in physical terms without losing the essential quality of what makes it what it is. Let me try to describe what I am actually seeing when I look at how they perceive you. There is a specificity to their appreciation that I find almost moving to witness in the reading. They do not experience you as a generalized attractive person. They experience you as exactly and only and irreplaceably you. Every particular thing, the specific way you hold your head when you are thinking, the quality of your attention when something interests you genuinely versus when you are being politely present, the sound of your laugh when it is real versus when it is social, the specific words you choose that nobody else would have chosen for the same thought. They have been collecting these particulars, not strategically, the way people cannot help but accumulate details about something they find extraordinary. The way a person who loves music cannot help but hear things in a piece that more casual listeners walk past entirely. You are extraordinary to them in the specific, granular, irreplaceable way of something that cannot be substituted. That cannot be approximated by anything or anyone else because what they are responding to is not a category you belong to, but the unrepeatable particular of what you are. Something is coming through about the only wanting you part specifically, and I want to approach it with the honesty it deserves, rather than simply delivering it as the comfortable confirmation the title promises, because the only is the part that matters most, and also the part most worth examining carefully. What I am reading is not someone who has arrived at exclusivity as a performance, not someone who is presenting a posture of wanting only you because it is the appropriate thing to present in this context or because it produces a desired effect in you. That version exists in the world, and the reading would feel different if that were what this was. What I am reading is something more uncomfortable for them, actually. The specific, somewhat inconvenient discovery of someone who perhaps did not intend to arrive at this place of exclusive wanting, who may have even actively resisted arriving here, and who finds themselves here anyway because the wanting did not ask their permission before establishing itself as singular. They have noticed, possibly with something between wonder and mild alarm, that the things that used to occupy the space that you now occupy do not work the way they used to. Other people do not land the same way. Other connections do not produce the same register of response. The distractions that used to be sufficient have quietly lost their sufficiency without making a formal announcement about why. It is only when they are honest with themselves in the private hours, when the honest version of their interior life has room to surface, that the reason becomes clear. The only is not a choice they made. It is a discovery they made about themselves, about what has happened to them in the specific, unrepeatable, apparently irreversible experience of encountering you. I want to speak for a moment to something that might be sitting in you as you receive this reading, because I think it would be incomplete to deliver this content without acknowledging the complexity of receiving it. Being wanted this completely is not always a simple experience. For some of you, this reading lands as pure confirmation of something you have felt and hoped was real. In that case, receive it fully. Let it be as simple as it appears. You deserve that. But for others, and I want to speak to this directly, there is something more complicated present. Something about being wanted, this specifically, this exclusively, this completely, that activates a kind of internal friction. Maybe because the wanting feels larger than you currently know how to hold. Maybe because receiving it would require a vulnerability that your history has made expensive. Maybe because some part of you is not entirely certain you trust something this good to remain what it appears to be, because things that appeared this good before have, at specific and memorable points in your past, turned out to be something different. That friction, if it is present, is not a signal that something is wrong with the wanting or with you. It is the entirely understandable response of a person who has learned through real experience that the gap between how good something appears and how good it actually is can be significant. What I want to say about that learned caution is not that you should discard it. Your history produced it for real reasons, and it has protected you in ways worth acknowledging. But it is also possible, and the reading is suggesting this directly, that what is in front of you now is not in the same category as the things that taught you to be cautious. It is possible that this is simply what it appears to be. Wanted, real, yours, if you choose it. Let me describe something specific that came through around how this person navigates the experience of wanting you this completely. Because the interior life of someone in this state is interesting, and I think the specifics of it are worth knowing. They have become, without particularly intending to, more careful, not careful in the guarded defensive sense, careful in the way of someone handling something they have assessed as genuinely valuable, more deliberate about what they say and how they say it, more attentive to the impact of their words and actions than they perhaps typically are, more willing to slow down, to think before responding, to prioritize getting things right over getting things fast. This care is specifically for you. It is not their general mode of operating in the world. People who know them in other contexts would not necessarily describe them this particular way. But in relation to you, something about the magnitude of what they feel has produced a quality of consideration and intentionality that they bring specifically to how they engage with you. You make them want to be better at this, at the specific art of showing up for another person with genuine attention and genuine care, not because you have demanded it or made it a condition, because the wanting itself generates it, because something about you has made them understand, perhaps for the first time in a fully embodied way, what it actually means to treat someone with the care they deserve. That is not a small thing to produce in another person. And it says something specific about how they experience you, not as someone they want to impress, but as someone they want to deserve. Have you felt this? The specific quality of being handled more carefully by this person than you have been handled before. That particular quality of attention that carries something in it beyond ordinary consideration. I want to hear from you in the comments. Tell me what it has felt like from your side of this. Tell me whether the wanting has been visible to you in the small specific ways, or whether it has been something you have sensed underneath a surface that does not always make it obvious. Those details matter to me. They shape what comes next in this space. There is something else present in this reading that I have been sitting with and that I want to name before we close, because I think it is actually the most important thing here, and it has nothing to do with what they want. It has to do with what you deserve. I know that can sound like a pivot away from the reading and towards something more generic, but stay with me because I am being specific rather than general. What you deserve is to be wanted in exactly this way, not in the approximate way, not in the someone who is generally interested in you and you are available and the timing is reasonable way. In the specific, exclusive, you in the angled light, every particular detail of you, no substitution possible or desired way. That quality of wanting is not an extravagant ask. It is not something reserved for a category of people you do not belong to, or a quality of experience that is available to some and not to others based on some criteria you have failed to meet. It is what genuine connection between two people who are genuinely right for each other actually feels like from the inside. And it is what is present here. What I want you to do with that, and I say this as someone who has witnessed a great many people receive something genuinely good and then immediately begin the process of managing their relationship to it back down to a size that feels safer, is to let it be as large as it actually is. Do not make it smaller. Do not find the reason it is probably not quite what it appears to be. Do not begin the audit. Let it land in the full size of what it is, which is this. A person who finds you beautiful in the specific, light-catching, every particular detail way that the best kind of seeing involves, who wants you with the full bodily, precognitive quality of genuine wanting, who has arrived through no plan of their own at the discovery that you are the only one they want. That is what is here, Virgo, in this reading, in this situation, in the field of what exists between you and this person right now. It is real. It is specific. It is about you, not the curated version, not the one you offer when you know you are being watched. The angled light version, the one you are when you forget to manage the impression. That version, that is what they cannot get out of their mind. And honestly, looking at everything the reading has shown me today, I completely understand why. Take care of yourself today, Virgo. And if a face came to mind in the first few seconds of this reading and stayed with you through every word of it, I want you to sit with what that means. Because the face that appeared is probably the face of someone sitting somewhere right now, thinking about yours, in exactly the quality of light I described at the beginning. Until next time, you are seen completely, specifically, irreplaceably. Let yourself believe it.